Right, we are going to talk about South Korea and one of the major failures of all time in politics, because this reminded me actually of some videos I watch in failure compilations. It was one of the most amateurish attempt to impose martial law.
Fail army South Korean version.
Yeah, exactly.
Stelios has seen
what was this?
Do in his time.
What was this? Literally, what was this? What were they thinking? Right, so we have...
identities ago, Stelios has staged a few very successful coups, so he's the guy to ask.
You need to call me Harry. We need to talk about stuff.
I think you'd actually look incredibly stylish if you dressed in sort of Pinochet fashion. You could pull off the...
We need to bring Kate back.
Well, I don't know. Well, let's see what happened and talk about that later. Right, so this was the moment martial law was introduced in South Korea, and the South Korean president said, "I declare martial law to protect the Free Republic of Korea from the threat of North Korean communist forces, to eradicate the despicable pro-North Korean anti-state forces that are plundering the freedom and happiness of our people, and to protect the free constitutional order," he said in a televised order last night in Korea, which was a night here in the UK. There were several hours difference, but it literally happened yesterday. So what he said essentially is he vaguely accused the opposition, which now is the party that won the elections on the 10th of April, and I'll explain to you in a bit what the tension is. He said that they have communist tendencies, that they are pro-North Korea, and that he has to declare martial law in order to combat their evil and devious ways.
Isn't the newly elected government profoundly anti-feminist, which has prompted the 4B movement? Am I thinking of the correct ones?
Well, I think that it's little bit more complicated. Yes. His party was the right-wing party. He won the 2022 presidential election, but he lost the 2024 election, National Assembly election.
Right, okay.
So what has happened here, as you see, is that the North Korean parliament has 300 seats. The government has 108 seats. The opposition has 192 seats. And the Democratic Party has 170 seats.
Right, so the president is now kind of a lame duck.
It's not exactly a lame duck, but you'll see that there is a huge gap between the president and the parliament, which they call National Assembly, and this has been a recipe for disaster. Right, so what we can say from here is that the Democratic Party is winning, and it's not that exactly that he had a landslide win in 2022. So he competed against the leader of the Democratic Party and won by 0.73%, which is a really short margin. So he didn't have exactly a mandate that was based upon a landslide, and also it was a sort of rage vote. He capitalized the rage that had captured South Korea.
Is this the incel rage?
It's a range about a lot of things. It has to do with the gender policies of the previous government. It has to do with the economic policies of the previous government.
It was the incels.
And it also has to do with some scandals, because there have been lots of scandals, some of them really, gossipy. They have huge gossip value, some sex scandals in South Korea, and they took advantage of it. So I
can see you simmering, just holding back the gossip right now.
I mean, we're in the news business, Harry.
This is true.
Right. So what happened was that he didn't have a strong mandate, and now he lost the 2024 National Assembly election. His party lost it, and this has caused lots of friction. Also, a lot of people are saying that his wife has been involved into several scandals, and that the opposition party is sort of making moves into the National Assembly to prosecute him and his wife. They are accusing her of receiving gifts. Reminds me of some people. I'm not going to name names. And also of manipulating stocks. So there are several accusations. Right, so let us see what the martial law implied. So there has been a really interesting account by Yejin Kim. I think I pronounced it correctly. Apologies if I did not. She has just 83 posts, but she just amassed a huge following yesterday because a lot of people were essentially reading her thread. And she had a massive thread. And if you see here, she says a lot of stuff. People agreed, and she is talking about what the martial law implies, which involves a massive violation of civil liberties. So I'm not going to say here. Okay, so let's scroll down a bit. So they're saying that she's saying that this is the first martial law declared in the Republic of South Korea, which the last one was in 1979. There have been several martial laws declared before, but this is the first in the sort of republic era of South Korea, right? And she says here, for instance, the decree number 1 says all political activities are prohibited, including the activities of the National Assembly and local councils, political parties, and political associations, as well as assemblies and demonstrations. Essentially, it's control of the media. They say all actions that deny or attempt to overthrow the liberal democratic system are prohibited, along with fake news, manipulation of public opinion, and false agitation. All media and publications will be under the control of martial law commands. Strikes, slowdowns, and assemblies that incite social disorder are prohibited. All medical professionals who are on strike or have left their medical posts, including medical residents, must return to their duties faithfully within 48 hours. Violations will be punished. And also measures will be taken to minimize inconvenience to law-abiding citizens, excluding anti-state forces and those seeking to overthrow the system. Right, so what happened here is that we had the police trying to prevent people from walking into the National Assembly. We see here some footage, but it was a sort of half-hearted attempt. Here we also have footage of the army storming into the parliament through the parking. They're running into the parking, they're approaching the South Korean National Assembly.
Not in a hurry, are they?
Not exactly, yeah, it was entirely half-hearted. Yeah, they didn't believe in it. And that's one of the issues that, obviously I'm not saying that this is what should happen, but people sort of knows that if you are to carry something like that through, you need the support of the army. You need an army that is enthusiastic with you. The army doesn't seem to be at all enthusiastic with him. Right, they are storming into we see footage here of them storming into the parliament. They're breaking glasses. Some people have described this as the reverse January 6th.
Right.
You see here footage, they're breaking into the parliament. We have... Sorry, Connor, you were saying...
Why do they need to... This is a very stupid question.
Yeah.
Why, if it's been placed under martial law, do they need to break into the windows of the park? Why don't they use the front door?
Action shots.
Because there were many people inside, and the MPs were actually trying to prevent...
They were barricading the front door.
They were barricading the front door.
Right.
Here we have the leader of the South Korean opposition party, Lee, I think Jae-myung, I hope I pronounced it correctly, who is circulating a video in social media, and he says essentially that this is just a really wrong move, and that the president has acted without a mandate, and it is sort of illegal, and that there is no support and no basis to the accusations that they are pro-North Korea. Right. So there was a voting process. The army couldn't provoke it. I see Harry is sort of laughing here. I don't know why. Maybe you have a meme in mind?
It's not that I have a meme in mind. I think this entire situation is a meme. The president declares that he has executive authority and has declared martial law, and then the people who he's supposed to be saying are not in power anymore say, actually, we voted, we're in charge and you're not, and then everybody shrugs their shoulders and says, okay,
yeah,
guess we tried.
It's the most polite East Asian version of a coup.
Yeah, this is poor showing.
But
poor showing,
I must say, because I'm a constitutionalist and I really like reading about constitutions and stuff, they do have a constitutional clause that says that the parliament can outvote the executive order if they vote for it and the majority votes for it. So it's not that it was a coup on the side of the parliament.
Is going to vote in favour of being out of a job.
Well, that's interesting because
they've got the ultimate Uno reverse card.
No, because it has to do ultimately with how you go about it and why you're doing it. So, for instance, one of the major questions people had was, is he going to be a Cincinnatus or a Caesar? Turned out neither. He was entirely...
He was a wet fart.
He's like an Elagabalus instead.
A huge F. Right, so they voted 190 against 0, and even people from his party voted against it. Right, so we have here a really good post. Says, if you want to summarize the entire turn of events, this is the video, and just look at it. It shows how half-hearted the army was.
Guys, this was the first footage I saw of this, right? I went on Twitter last night, and this had already been going on for 2 hours, and I see, coup in South Korea, they're overturning the government, and I look at my phone, and this is the first video that came up, and I was like, there's a salaryman. Salaryman is beating back the army.
You just know you demand from the military.
I found that hilarious because I think that it was the perfect momentum crasher. You remember there was a momentum of the soldier. I'm going to overthrow the republic because I was ordered, and then the guy said, "No, just turn around." Okay, fine, let's go. I'm going to go back, watch TV.
He's just like, no.
Yeah, so the people there are lots of people who rushed and they say, no, we need to end martial law, overthrow the... Harry,
I'm sorry.
I'm a populist. I like this. Why do you want to spoil the fun for me?
I'm not spoiling the fun for you. I'm just thinking, no wonder the women in South Korea aren't attracted to the men, if that's the best that they've got. I mean, come on.
I mean, sorry, the guy with
you're not even willing to overthrow the government for me?
How badass is it if you're actually... taking a video with your phone and a soldier comes your way, tries to take it and just throw them.
No, I'm assuming the soldier is the young man who doesn't have a girlfriend.
Right, do an 180 degree, do a U-turn.
Yeah, the middle-aged man is probably married with children already. The soldier who's the young man, no wonder he can't get a girlfriend.
Right, moving on, there was considerable confusion, and we see some of the potential beneficiaries of the martial law were contemplating their benefits. And we had people asking, do we have to go to work? Are we going to university?
Is it time for a day off?
He declared a bank holiday.
Yeah. Right. So we have here the army just completely demoralized. Not exactly, maybe. It's not like they were enthusiastic about it. They just go home.
Perhaps a stiletto heel march like the American army do might encourage some morale among the troops.
Yeah, so this was incredibly amateurish. Perhaps the president of North Korea wants to offer South Korea, wants to subscribe to Lotus Eaters and check the Machiavelli's Discourses on Levy Part 1 symposium that we did.
I like how you apologise to me as if I was South Korean.
And I also like that Stelios is advertising his own series as, you want to really know how to overthrow a government, watch Symposium.
I'm not saying that this should have happened. I'm just saying I'm making a purely hypothetical. If you want this, then you need to do that. I'm not saying you should.
Hate handler watching. Stelios is not giving government advice on how to overthrow it.
No, I'm not. But as I've said, I am a constitutionalist, and I believe in the Constitution. And I don't like absolutism. You know this.
We know this.
Right.
Either way, this is the most low-T overthrow of a government I've ever seen. Yeah.
So we had the plunging of the South Korean won against the US dollar after that was declared, but then when it was revoked, things were started looking better a bit. And essentially, why did this happen? It's too early to say, and I don't want to be non-cautious. I want to be cautious about it, but essentially, it seems to me that there are three contingencies. 3 scenarios. Number 1, his rhetoric was sincere. He actually believed that there has been a pro-North Korean faction in the parliament. Number 2, he wanted to completely divert attention in order to cover up something else. Number 3, it's both. I really don't know. I don't want to speculate because I'm really new into this. I'm just laying out the facts.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can always go to our website and watch our series looking at the films of Stanley Kubrick. And if you want to see all the other things that we're doing, you can always follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.